Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Movie Bucket here on Screen Stealers. I'm Brooke, and this movie was funny, cute and funny. There you go.
Okay, and hi, I am River, and freeze, you deceased rhinoceros pizzle. I learned a new word for penis. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Because I heard
Um,
that before, but I didn't know what the fuck that meant.
you and me both, girl. You and me both.
The more you know.
Yeah. Hola, I am Eduardo, and the royal penis is clean, Your Majesty. The royal penis is clean.
And I'm Lana, and I am here to like whatever you like. Whatever you like.
I'm here to bark like a dog.
Whatever
You
you
hop on
like.
one leg.
Like a big dog.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, so if you hadn't gathered or you missed out on last week's episode on Rosewood, which go watch last week's episode on Rosewood. But if you missed out on that and you want to watch this one first, we are talking about Coming to America from 1988, starring Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, a lot more people. It's a really big ensemble cast, but those are just a couple people off the top of my head. Um, and this is our final movie in our Black History Month coverage for the year. So, Lana, let the people know at home, why did you choose Coming to America?
Why wouldn't I? She was coming to America. It's just funny. It's just funny. It's silly. It's good. I like the romantic story of it. I like um the growing up trying to become your own person, true, trying to become your own man, and you know, having royalty constraints put upon his life, and now he has to try to figure out how to maneuver with those inside those constraints, but wanting to definitely be outside of those constraints. Um, just and Eddie Murphy is just one of the most funniest people you could ever watch on screen. And this was in his prime of just Eddie Murphy movies. Like if you go down the list of Eddie Murphy movies, it's like this is just one of the best ones, and it's just funny. And it's another one of those movies that anytime I see it on, I'm watching it. I'm stopping to watch it. I don't care where it is in the movie. I'm gonna watch it from that point to the end. It gave us some really, like I said, great cast in this movie. Some Eric LaSalle was in this movie pre his ER days, and it was like, okay. Samuel Jackson was in this movie doing. It's just like what,
Mm-hmm.
just like
Mhm.
the people in this
Basically.
movie, and you like Garcelle Beauvais is in this movie. You might not even recognize her in this movie, but she was in this movie as one of the flower bearers. It's just like so many people made this movie, and it was just fun. Louis Anderson is in this movie, and I was just like, it's how random to have a Louis Anderson pop up in this movie. Um,
Yeah,
it's
there's a reason for that. We'll talk about that when we get
yeah,
to
I
that.
mean, it's random for people who don't know the whole stick. We had, and then the Mortimer, like Eddie Murphy does a lot of callbacks to his old movies into this movie. I just love this movie so freaking much. It's just funny. It's just funny. It's nothing extra, nothing too deep about it. It's just fun. It's just a fun movie. So I love this movie.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get it out of the way. Hadn't seen it. Eduardo hadn't seen it. Um, and River and Lana both had, and of course we've discussed it last week. But I'm just gonna say this: Eddie Murphy for me is one of those really interesting things because when I was a kid, I knew Eddie Murphy as Mushu, as
Mhm.
Donkey, right? Like that's where my brain knew Eddie Murphy from. And then as I got
Dr.
older, I went back
Doolittle?
and watched what?
Dr. Doolittle?
No, it wasn't my childhood. I didn't watch
Really?
his movies until I
Okay,
was older.
okay.
So then I go back and I watch some of his older stuff, specifically
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Hills Cop. I love that franchise. I think it's really underrated. Um, but I had a really interesting journey with any. I mean, I'm just gonna say our generation of people who were born like later in his career have that like weird thing where we know him from all of his voice acting work, in a lot of our children's movies. So going back and watching him in other stuff before that is always really fun for me, specifically with Eddie Murphy. I feel the same way about like Billy Crystal, because I know him as Mike Wazowski. So if I go watch Billy Crystal and like Princess Bride, I'm like, oh, well, that's fun. You know, it kind of has that same effect. But yeah, Eddie Murphy's fantastic in this movie. I just want to get that out of the way. Eddie Murphy is incredible in this.
So this is a movie that like I grew up watching, because for me, like growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s in Brazil, the movies that were on like open TV all of the time were like from the late 80s and 90s. So that's kind of what I grew up on. So like coming to America, I saw many times Dr. Dolittle, and then later on like the Haunted Mansion one. Like I grew up with Eddie Murphy movies besides his voice acting and animation, because you know I'm a Shrek fan. But this movie, like just like Lana said, like for me, it's one of my favorite movies, and it's just like even for my mom, because I was telling her we were doing this movie today, and I said that this movie for me is like anytime I'll sit down and watch, if it's in the beginning, the middle, the end, and like I am sat. And she said same. Like for my mom and me to love the same movie, it takes a lot. Like my dad loved that movie. Like I remember the last time I watched this movie was last year. I was at my grandfather's house, and it was on, and I stopped to watch it. And then he saw that it was on, and he came and watched with me. He's like, "Oh, I love this movie. Let's watch together." And like, so even my grandfather was like, "Oh, I'm sad. I am sad." Yeah. So yeah, I just we were talking a little bit before. This movie is not technically like perfect or anything like that. It just holds a really special place in my heart personally. So I have great memories with it and watching it sitting on my grandma's floor on the carpet, you know.
I will say, I think out of anybody here, I'm the person that has the least connection to Eddie Murphy, because I think River, you will like agree to this, but like I grew up also watching things like Mulan and Shrek, but I watched them in Spanish, and so I didn't have that connection with Eddie Murphy since I didn't hear his voice. And then there were not a lot of Eddie Murphy movies that would get constantly like shown here in Mexican television. The only one that really comes to mind that I saw a lot was Daddy Daycare. That was the only one that I had really seen a lot of.
That one too.
And the other ones that were like kind of popular that I didn't get to watch were things like Norbit or like The Nutty Professor.
Oh my God, yeah. I forgot all of that. I'm like, yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so many movies, so many movies. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember like seeing clips of them, but my parents specifically telling me that I could not watch those movies. So I didn't grow up with Eddie Murphy like a lot of people did. And it wasn't until I started speaking English and I started actually going back and rewatching a lot of the movies that I had seen when I was a child in English that I started to learn about Eddie Murphy and who he was and how funny he was. So I have a very like odd history with his career and with his movies, but watching this was really fun. It was really fun watching him do something that, in my opinion, is very different than anything else that I've seen him do before. And yeah, it's just fun. It was just a fun experience. I had a lot of fun just going back and watching this.
Well, this is something I've never like publicly shared on the podcast, but whenever we have a movie that came out before 2000, I go and watch the Siskel and Ebert review of it because it gives me a little bit of like historical context on it and to see like what was the like general reception around the movie when it came out, but also where was Eddie Murphy in his career? Because to me, if I look at this, like I'm like, oh, it's Eddie Murphy. I know he's a comedy guy, been in a bunch of really good comedies and some pretty bad comedies. He's had a hit or miss track record. Let's be honest. I was really curious to see where he was at in his career from their perspective. And then you go and look back at his filmography. He hadn't really done a ton of movies at this point in his career. Like this is relatively early on. I think this is just after Beverly Hills Cop 2 came out the year before. So he's still in that like action comedy era of his career. This is after trading places, but like still, he's still getting established as a big name actor that can headline a lot of projects. And it was interesting to see him kind of just run a movie like this, be the top billed guy in a major comedy that he kind of just got to put his fingerprints all over this film.
He produced it, right? I think this one. No,
I believe so. Yeah.
I think so because I
no, he did not
think I
produce
saw
it.
like an Eddie Murphy production in the beginning. No,
He did not produce it. I'm gonna see if he has like a screenwriting credit or something.
He has a story
okay.
credit.
He has the story credit on it. That's true.
Oh, okay.
But even then, I guarantee you, they kind of let.
Because I
him
knew
do
he was
whatever
involved
wanted
with
to
like a
produce it.
little bit more than just acting on it, so I didn't know exactly what it was specifically.
But yeah, Eddie Murphy's just one of those guys that he has such an interesting career, and I think it's really fun to go and look at some of his older work and some of his newer work. Because he got robbed of an Oscar in 2007. I just want that acknowledged here on this day. Eddie Murphy, and alongside many other people, were robbed of Oscars for Dreamgirls. I just want that established.
Yeah.
I want that documented. Jennifer Hudson got hers, and that's about it. Everybody else kind of got screwed. The fact that they didn't even win Best Original Song, by the way, just for the record, because that's where the song "Listen" came from. I want that documented. The fact that they did not win Best Original Song that year is one of my
crazy.
It's one of my reasons. Like I
was this close to picking Dreamgirls as this week's movie.
Like I would have been
this close to picking Dreamgirls.
There are so many good choices. Like after we started doing this, I started doing like my own Black History Month, like Black cinema watch list, and I've been watching like so many great movies. Some are misses, but like most of them are at least good. At the least good, but most of them are really great.
But yeah, so I just want established. I like Eddie Murphy quite a bit, but the one person that I really want to talk about in this movie is one of my favorite actors in all of Hollywood. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. I adore James Earl Jones.
I knew that. I knew it.
So,
I knew it.
A lot of people think I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm really not. It's fine. But every single movie and Broadway show that James Earl Jones has ever been in, I adore. This man was a legend. He is one of my favorite actors in terms of his appearances. And I'm just going to say he was my favorite part of this movie entirely. Is that a hot take? Probably. But I'm also extremely biased, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm not. So there you go.
And he was great in it. So like, yeah.
Yeah, he
You
did
like
a really
what you
good
like.
job.
True. All right, I'll stop dominating the conversation. Y'all go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that I love Arsenio Hall in this, and I wish he would have done more movies because like him and Chris Tucker, I'm like, I just wish y'all would have done more movies. I know that like Chris Tucker has more movies to, but like I just wanted more because I know Arsenio like he went a different direction. Like I don't know if he did his show before or after this movie. But I know that he had a different career, like besides acting, right? But he was so great in this.
It was literally right after this. It was the year after was when the Arsenio Hall show started.
There you go. But yeah, he was so great in this, and we've talked enough about Eddie Murphy, but yeah. Also, the woman that I don't know her the name of the actress, but the woman that plays Lisa was also does a great job here. But one of my favorite parts is the costume design and the set design for the palace, especially. Like it's just the first like 20 minutes of the movie is just like so beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
In like a production sense.
Yeah, Shari Headley is her name, Lisa.
Thank you.
Shout out to Shari.
I want to see what else she's done. I don't really know her too well.
I don't either.
Oh, wait, she's in Preacher's Wife.
She was in the Preacher's Wife.
I'm about to say she's definitely Black famous.
Yeah. You know what? That makes sense. But yeah.
Oh, wait, she was on that Tyler Perry show on Oprah. that used to get advertised like right when Own came out. Haves and Have-Nots.
Yep, Have and Have Not. She was on Johnson's Family Vacation. If you've seen that, she used to be on All My Children
So she's more of a soaps actress typically.
She started out in the soaps. But yeah, she does. You'll see her pop up in little stuff here and there, and other things. But yeah.
Yeah, I think she did a really good job. I think she was a little bit of the straight man to Eddie Murphy, which you always need to have a straight man to your big comedy actors or your big comedy characters, and both Akeem and Semi are both like really intense and really big. So having Lisa there is, I think, one of the most important parts of the story, and I really really liked the arc that we had with Lisa and how like she went from, I don't know, I just liked her character. I liked where we decided to take her. I like that it was a very similar thing of like, you are taking away my my ability to choose what to do with my life, which is very similar to what Akeem was going through. And I also really like that the character of Akeem really does appreciate her for her smarts, for how intelligent she is. And I think like, I don't know, when it comes to like these types of comedies, I used to think that like when it comes to romance, a lot of the times it's like, oh, she's hot, I want to have sex with her, instead of like, oh, I actually want to get to know her. And so I really really appreciated that like change to this type of character that I normally tend to like think, or like it comes to mind when I think of these movies. So I like that change. I really really like that change. And also Eddie Murphy and liking like smarter women, it's here and in The Haunted Mansion. He really likes his smart women. I don't know why, but I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, that is also one of my favorite parts of the movie, like things about the movie, and one of the reasons that I really love it is because as someone that is not really a fan necessarily of rom-coms or like romance in movies, unless like adds to the plot or is part of it, like I don't mind having romance in the story as part of the story. I just don't like when it's just only about that, pretty much. In this movie, I enjoy because it's not just about that. Yes, that is like maybe the main part of the plot, but there are other subplots that are, or like themes that the movie touches on that keep the story interesting enough for me to enjoy the romance. And also the fact that it's shown as a non-superficial thing. And like two people that are kind of going through the same thing, but like in very different levels and spectrums, right?
Yeah.
But the way that they feel is very similar, right? And they're kind of like looking for the same thing, and it's they both have other options, but they want to choose better, and they like and that the fact that like they end up choosing each other is really great. And like, spoiler, just going to the end really quickly, just to make a point, but like the fact that she said no initially, he respected that, left, and then she like changed her mind and then went back to him. Like, I love the fact that he actually respected the fact that she said no and was going to move on with his life. Like, it's the one hetero romance that I am down with. Like this movie it has a great romantic story. I love it.
Yeah.
I will say, on the subject of hetero romance, we've discussed in the past, sometimes it can be harder for us to get into a romance that we can't necessarily relate to, and that the chemistry can be hard. We've even talked about it this month, where we can see that there's chemistry between some romantic leads, and we may or may not, depending on who you are, River, want to get that separated. Also, Lana's just having some tech issues. She'll be back in just a second. But it was really interesting for me because I do like them as a couple, and I do believe that I see where they're growing from. I see their foundations, And I get why Akeem does what he does when he comes to America to begin with, and doesn't want people to marry him just because he's got money and he's royalty, and I get it.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I also understand why she's mad at him. Like, he did
Yes.
lie to her. He
Yeah.
did, present himself under false pretenses. Do I think it really would have changed much for her in terms of how she felt about him? Maybe in the fact of she maybe would have let him pay for that tab at that restaurant a few times, and it
Mhm.
might have changed a few smaller things. But in terms of how she feels about him, I don't think that would have changed much if he was honest. But he didn't know that, so
Yeah.
I believe both of them. And I don't think either one of them is necessarily wrong. I don't think it's one of those cut and dry, you screwed up, you are in the wrong, or vice versa. But it is an interesting thing to think about, where I believe both of their motivations and both of their feelings on the subject. And it's nice to see that, because usually whenever there's a conflict in a rom-com, and when they do the obligatory "we are no longer working out" thing before they get back together in the climax,
Mhm.
it almost always feels forced. And I will say that is my biggest praise for this movie, besides it's funny as hell,
Mhm.
is that the breakup did not feel forced. It was believable. I understood. And
Yeah.
that is a huge plus for a rom-com to me. I just want to get
Mhm.
that out of the way.
Even with having $500 earrings as part of it. You know what I mean? Even with that,
Yeah.
it felt real.
$500,000 earrings.
Was that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
half a
that's what I meant.
mil.
Yeah.
$500,000.
Yes, half a
But
mil. In 88, mind
in
you.
88,
Anyway.
Crazy.
right. I mean, but and if you think about the concept of him, the world he came from, being a prince, and knowing he could have any woman he wants, he could have anything he wants. Everything was always thrown to his feet, and the most beautiful woman was presented to him. The woman who was coming to was presented to him, and she was gorgeous, and he could have had that. He could have just had a woman who was going to be obedient and do whatever he liked and never challenged him, and he didn't want that. But also, he also had to make sure that the person who wanted to be with him wanted to be with him strictly for him, not because
with Akeem, not
right,
Prince.
not Prince Hakeem,
Yeah.
of Zabubu. He could have been anything. And so, because even when he was going out looking for women and dates, when people were like, "Oh, you have money? Oh, I mean, I could be," he could have had anything, but he wanted the person to want him for him and not because he was a prince. And Lisa was just that, because he met her and she was involved with someone who thought they were hot stuff. And she just was like, he's just Hakeem who works at the restaurant I work at. But he seems nice. He seems like a genuine nice guy. It wasn't romantic from the start. It was just, and it was for her anyway. For him, he was in love the second he saw her. He was just like, that's the one. But for her, she was just like, he's just a nice guy who just happens to work here as who cleans up the store I work at. Sure. And I think that's why it was so, like I said, believable. And looking back at that, when I watched it for the first time, I was like in 1988, and I'm like, if a man just told me he was a prince of this beautiful African country in my young age in 78, I was, so I was young watching this movie, way too young to be watching this movie, too young to understand this movie. But as I got older, even in my teenager, I was like, I wish a man would tell me he was a prince and he want to marry me. I'm going. I'm not starting. No, look, we don't have to pass go. Let's just go. But I understood why she felt that way, because he did present himself in a narrative that what he wasn't. And I loved this story, how I love the whole, will she get caught, like so many different occasions.
Mm-hmm. The almost.
He almost it almost came out that he was, and what he had to do, how many hoops he had to jump through to not have her find out. Like the man at the basketball game who happened to be from his country and who came and was just like, yes, and so he had to get up like, oh no, it's just a fan. I just met him in the bathroom. To the homeless people when he gave him his pocket change, and it was so much money that they came to found him in a restaurant, and he was like, "Oh my god!"
Even in the rally when they were like passing the thing, when he gave
he just gave a chunk of money, and like he was just doing what he would normally do because that was his normal life. But to try to watch him jump through all the hoops to try to get people from not exposing his secret to getting the house, and when Arsenio's here to totally decked it out and was like, no, we need to move into a lesser house. Like, we can't do this. I just loved every second of this movie for just the fun, the silliness, but the story of it, because the way they presented the story was so beautiful and also honest and realistic. Like you said, nothing about this movie felt forced or fake. It just felt like this was just a fun, good movie. So yeah.
Like if you remove the royalty part of it and you just change it to like a rich man, right?
Yeah, same thing.
It's very realistic. The only unrealistic part is the whole royalty thing, because everything else is very realistic. The family obligations that come with having money or whatever, like all of that. And the thing that you touched on, Lana, that is one reason why I love this movie so much, is that both characters, Lisa and Akeem, were fighting their own gender stereotypes within relationships, because Lisa was looking for a man that saw her beyond her looks, and Akeem was looking for a woman that would see him beyond his money and title and whatever.
Right.
So I love that. But when you brought up the basketball game, is there was one scene, because I mentioned like that they touch on other themes lightly and quickly, but I think are really interesting, is the scene where Daryl is, I don't know if the word would be racist or xenophobic.
I think more
towards Akeem for being from Africa.
Yeah. More xenophobic.
So like the whole thing of like Western Black people being bigoted against African Black people, that conversation. I think it being touched like that, like so quickly and so like and for just one scene, just to like kind of touch on that subject, but they didn't go deep into it. But I thought it was interesting because I don't think it was just one time, right? I think Daryl made like a few comments here and there that were kind of like derogatory in that way. But I thought that it was really interesting for the movie, for like a comedy, to also touch on those themes, even if quickly and with, little lightness.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely thought that was one of the more interesting parts of the movie, especially with Daryl's character, like how the animosity towards another Black man, that the only like big difference here that he knows of is that they just grew up in different continents. One grew up in the United States, the other one grew up in Africa, and the amount of hatred he has for Akeem just because like he's just a little different than most people that are in the USA, and just because he's from Africa. It's very interesting to see, and it really opened my eyes to like, oh, there is that like infighting of like, I'm a Westerner, I'm from Africa, and that doesn't mean, just because we're Black doesn't mean we're gonna get along. Doesn't mean like we're gonna be brothers and we're gonna like be friendly.
Or like on the same page.
On the same page.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I forget that like that's the thing, because for me, when I see any Latin person, I'm like, you're Latino, I have to help you, I am on your side. But it's very interesting when people don't do that. And so that was the most interesting part about Daryl for me. I agree.
That scene in the basketball game was actually really interesting to me. Actually, the entire time at the basketball game was fun because I like when he excuses himself during halftime, you get that guy from his country. Like they're
Yeah.
having, like, he's freaking out. Like, why is the crown prince randomly in New York not dressed up in, like, what the hell?
On the line for the bathroom, like what?
Hello?
Yeah, like it's hysterical, and I love how he plays it off. Just a guy I met in the bathroom. I mean, he's not wrong. He's telling the truth. He doesn't know who this dude is, but this dude knows who he is, so he has to, like, do his best to try to keep it a secret. But at the same time, it's such a scene that you would think, if it's New York, right? Someone, if somebody is from Samunda, they are going to recognize him, right? Like, you would think that they would. So
I mean, he's in the money, so I would guess yes.
And he's in a literal museum. Let's not forget, his picture is in the museum.
That's what I'm saying. I love how, I'm gonna say that actually added a lot to the realism of this movie for me, because it was a little something that didn't really need to be in the movie, to be honest. But having it there made that portion of the movie feel a little bit more realistic to me. He's not gonna get away with it forever. There are people who know what he looks like, and I like that. I do think I should probably speak on my personal biggest problem with this movie. I believe their chemistry, but in terms of the writing and in terms of the plot, it's rather paint by numbers when it comes to a rom-com. It follows the rom-com formula, and that's fine. Plenty of rom-coms do. It's just there's never anything that, like, boosts the formula past the formula. You know what I mean? In terms of, like, what a rom-com is. There's nothing that, like, the comedy is really funny and that makes the movie better. But in terms of the romance part of the rom-com, the romance itself is very structured down the line.
Yeah.
So that's just my personal biggest problem with it. And I can understand if other people feel differently. That's just how I feel watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I feel like I respectfully disagree with, I already touched on how I feel about the whole, like, the way the romance in this movie works. So, like, but I see where you're coming from. I'm just not coming from the same place.
I guess I'm somewhere in between both of your opinions, because I do like the romance and I think it's cute. I think it's good. But at the same time, if you gave me the option between, like, focusing more on the romance or focusing more on the comedy parts of the movie, I love the comedy parts a lot more than I do the romance parts of the movie. Like, when he's just walking down the street and he just asks, like, what the hell does fuck you mean, or, like, whatever. I don't remember the quote, but, like,
I think it was dumb fuck. What does dumb
what
fuck
does
mean?
dumb fuck mean? And, like, I think those parts are really funny. And, like, when someone screams at him, like, hey, fuck you, and he says, yes, fuck you.
Fuck you.
Like, I think
Or when
those
he's,
parts
like,
are,
singing after the date and people are like,
Yeah.
shut up, shut the fuck up.
yeah, like, those moments to me are way more memorable and way funnier, and, like, I appreciate those moments a lot more than I do the romance. I think the romance, as I said, it's really good, it's cute, but to me, it really gets overshadowed by the other comedy parts of it. But it's not a huge deal. It's still really good. Both parts are really, really good. I just really, really like the comedy a lot more.
I like the comedy more than the romance, but both work for me. But, like, it's just, if I had to choose one, yes. So, like, for me, it would be a com-rom, not a rom-com. You know what I mean? Like, the comedy comes before the romance.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like both are needed. I think the story needed both, and I feel like they play off of each other very well. Because if we just had a full-on comedy, it would have been fun. It would have made a great movie. But I feel like the romance parts of it adds to the story to make the story what it is. Because, like we said at the beginning, both of these two human beings are going through the same exact thing, part of their life, where they are tied down to family obligations in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it just different classes of family obligations, but still the same. And I feel like seeing those journeys, both of them take the same journey and end up together, made the story, it tied the story together. Because yes, we could have had all those comedy bits and it would have been so funny and we would have been laughing our behinds off. But what would have tied the story together? What would have made sense? Why would he come to America? He came to America to
the
find
motivation.
love.
Yeah.
The whole motivation of this story is to find the love. And he found that in Lisa, who was also trying to find love, but really wasn't getting, she thought she found it, but what she realized that the love that she thought she found was very superficial and very surface level. And it wasn't, they didn't listen to her. She didn't feel seen in her relationship. She didn't feel like it was an equal partnership. She felt like the man in her life was telling her what to do and dictating her life and telling her how she should be, instead of her being able to make those choices. And when Hakeem, he could have came in there and been that same dude to just tell her what to do, because his royalty status would have given him permission to do that. But he didn't want to do that, because that wasn't the journey he wanted to live. And he wanted to find someone who was equal, because he watched his parents. He watched his mother be that same bride who catered to the husband, because that's what he was doing. He know his father wasn't doing right. His father was sleeping with the flower bearers like he told him he should do. And it was just like, he didn't want that. That's not the type of relationship he wanted. So I feel like the romance part of this was the tie that brought all of this together. And I don't think it would have been as successful without that part. Now, yeah, like I said, we enjoyed the comedy parts of it a whole lot more, and that's fine to say. But if you didn't have that romance part, it wouldn't have made the story as complete. And I feel like I do disagree about it being very paint by numbers of the romance thing. I think they had a different story to tell, and it wasn't just one-sided. A lot of rom-coms we've seen it always started on one-sided, and then the other person, then they finally figure it out. I don't think that was the case with this one. I don't know. I think that the romance part of this story was a compliment to the comedy of the story, and it made the story, it tied everything together, because there would be no reason for him to come to America if he wasn't looking for Lisa.
Yeah, I agree, because like for me, I will always enjoy comedy more than romance, but the fact that I enjoy the romantic part of this movie is what tells me that like it works, because I usually don't care for romance in movies that much, but in this one it works just as well as the comedy does. And one of my favorite funny moments is Semi, when the king comes and he opens the door, screams and closes. Oh, I love it. And also when they're looking for the apartment and they just leave the bags on the street because they think someone's always carrying it, and then people just steal, and they're wearing the clothes the next day.
Yeah. Welcome to
and
New York.
when they're like, oh, we need to look like New Yorkers, and then they come out of the store dressed like tourists.
Yeah, I love that, and I also, it tells me a lot about the US and how New York works. So if I ever visit New York and this is not my experience, I will riot. I will be mad. I need this experience to happen to me. Well, not really, but I need, if it's not this,
you want your bag stolen? Okay.
No. But I will say, if I go to Queens and I don't see what I'm seeing in this movie, I will be mad. I will be upset, and I will be disappointed.
I'm sorry to disappoint. That was in 1988. We are now in 2026, and most of New York is gentrified. So you probably see some of it, but you won't see all of it. So
damn,
I'm disappointed.
By the way.
But Queens is still Queens, though. So maybe.
Yeah. So I'm gonna disagree with the point that River made a second ago, because you said the romance works just as well as the comedy. I don't agree with that at all. The comedy in this movie is incredible, and the romance in this movie is fine. I'm just gonna say that. Not that they are not a believable couple, not that they are not a cute couple, but this is not, for me personally, this is not going to be one of those like epic romances that I look back in my movie going through and be like, these two are perfect. This is couple goals. They're a very cute couple, and it's a believable romance. They're good. The comedy in this movie, on the other hand, is one of the funniest movies I've seen in a long time. At least in the past 5 years, I would say that.
Yeah.
I can agree.
I love to hear that. Okay,
I
good,
think
good.
that the comedy in this movie really does carry it. Because to me, the way I look at it is, if it's a rom-com, that comedy needs to be there, or else it's just a boring romance movie.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why a lot of rom-coms nowadays just don't work, is because they're not funny.
They're not
need
funny.
to be funny, right?
Where are the
The
jokes?
jokes.
True.
Where are the jokes? But no, this movie's funny. It's damn funny.
Hilarious.
Has all of the comedy aged the best? No. But this is a movie that came out in the 80s. I kind of expect that. And in about 30 years, we're going to look back on some of the comedies that came out in the 2020s and be like, yeah, okay, that wasn't, maybe we shouldn't have done that. But I feel like it happens to every generation. We look back on some of the stuff that we did, and we're like, okay, maybe Eddie Murphy shouldn't have dressed up like a Jewish man. Maybe that wasn't the best idea.
I mean, why not? They dress up like us all the time.
Not getting into that
Well.
discourse today. I'm just saying. But the comedy in this movie is really great, and I think the romance is not as strong, and I think most people would probably agree with that.
What I
But
mean is, in the sense that romance usually doesn't work for me, and the
Mhm.
fact that this romance works for me, that's what I mean. It works, period. I do prefer the comedy, but romance usually is just it makes me actually angry in movies. I'm just oh, really? Oh my God. Okay. And here, it works, it doesn't make me mad. It actually is pretty cute, as you said. And yeah. But it is way funnier than it is romantic. That's for sure. I mean, I don't think they were trying to be the most
Right.
romantic movie in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
weren't trying to make it the next big rom-com here.
Right.
Right.
Because Eddie Murphy is a comedian. He was trying to make a good comedy, and that's what
Yeah.
he did.
And can we wake it up that we need more Black rom-coms just in general? Because that's
Yes,
why I'm
sir.
I'm not mad at this comedy movie having romance, because we need it. I was looking for some of those for my personal Black History Month watch, and there weren't many. There were some, but not enough.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm not mad.
the really crazy thing about Eddie Murphy in his career is, you say he wasn't trying to make a rom-com. He was, right? And that was kind of the point. But everyone already knew he was funny. He was a well-established stand-up. He had done a bunch of comedy movies, action comedy movies. People knew where he was at. When I watched, the reason I watched that Siskel and Ebert review, because I wanted to know what the perception of him going into this movie was, and how people were viewing him. And Siskel opens up his review by saying Eddie Murphy's biggest knock in Hollywood right now is that people have said that they don't believe him as a romantic lead, right?
Mhm.
And I think that was what he tried to do, or wanted this movie to do for him, was kind of change that perception. I think it worked to a degree. I don't know if you look at his movies that came out after this, he doesn't really do romance too much after this.
The only one that I know of that is on my list is Boomerang.
Yes, Boomerang is definitely
Yeah.
one that he
Well,
did.
I'm not saying he doesn't do it at all, but it's not like
Right.
he doesn't.
I mean,
suddenly transition
he
to
did
doing-
2
yeah.
that I know. If there's
Yeah.
more, I don't know, but
Yeah,
So, yeah.
he's done a few, but if you look at his early '90s catalog, it's Beverly Hills Cop 3, and I think that's when Nutty Professor came out, was around that time period, and then he was transitioning into voice acting. He was doing all of that work, and then it just kind of kept going, and then suddenly he's in Dreamgirls and should have won an Oscar in 2006. So, I do think this helped his perception, from what I can tell, and from where he was at. So yeah, I think he was trying to make specifically a rom-com because people knew he was funny. We all knew he's still funny. And I think this was probably a really good move for his career, low-key.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it definitely was. And I want to get into the acting of this movie and the people or the characters, let's say, who Eddie Murphy just alone played, and then the characters that Arsenio Hall played. this was the prerequisite to Nutty Professor. Like, this is before we saw Nutty Professor and Eddie Murphy doing the whole family, you know, at the table. Eddie Murphy just, he did so many characters in this movie alone, and he had Arsenio, who was also just as funny, doing different roles. That barbershop scene alone could carry me through everything. The barbershop scenes carry me. Eddie Murphy and Arsenio doing that with the Jewish guy. Like I said, I'm not gonna be like, don't do that, because they do us all the time. So I will always say it's fine for us to do them too. I just think it was just, we gotta give them props for that. Just playing so many different characters, making it funny, giving each character their own thing. It wasn't like any character that he did, oh, that looked just like he was doing when he did that, and then he was in the band, and he was Sex and Chocolate. Like, come on, like, you can't get any better. Like, Sex and Chocolate with that, with the barbershop. It's just, that just lets you know how good of an actor that Eddie Murphy was. And even before, like I said, it was starting to show, like, he did Beverly Hills Cop. Yes, he could do action comedies and things like that. Now he's dipping his toe in the romance comedies. But everything he does, even whatever it always get a hint back to comedy. Like, I think his more romantic stuff was with the Nutty Professor and him trying to do that whole thing, and that was fun too. And Boomerang, in its problems, it tried to be romantic, but it you know, it was still typical Playboy stuff. So you love to see that.
Well, from what I saw from like the description, I was like, I'll give it a shot, but I'm like,
no, it's funny and it's good. Okay. It's funny, it's good, but it's just like, you have to know where that character was coming from. He was a Playboy. Right. And he could get any woman he wanted. He was slick at the mouth. And so you go hate him for a minute, but then you realize, oh, well, he do just want to find love. And it's going to take him a moment to get there, but whatever. But just to see him starting with this and coming to America, and that was the first time we saw Eddie Murphy do so many characters in one movie. It was so fun. Like, everybody who's seen Nutty Professor, like, oh yeah, we know Eddie could do that. If you didn't watch Coming to America, we would have never known Eddie could do that. And it was, I just think it was, like I said, the barbershop scene could carry me through 3 more years. It's just so funny. I can laugh at that forever. Yeah. And then that going into the fundraiser, and all of them from the barbershop is at the fundraiser, and he just, I thought it was the trash. Don't, you know, like, that's little stuff like that. I love it.
Yeah.
There were 2 moments that I thought were so funny when he was when they were working at the McDowell's. First of all, just the whole thing of that is just so fucking hilarious. When Mr. McDowell asked, like, can you mop? Do you know how to mop? And then he mops with the buckets. Oh my god! And then when he goes and, like, he's mopping around Lisa, like, he goes and he's like smiling. Then he comes back. And then he goes again. And then he's like, asks if he can take out the trash, whatever. And then he says, when you think of trash, think of Akeem. Or garbage. He said garbage. When you think of garbage.
You think of garbage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, speaking of, one of my favorite things that we haven't talked about was when Arsenio Hall did that character of it says on here, extremely ugly girl. I thought that was so funny. I want to ravish you and your friend too.
So
that whole montage, like, it was so funny. So funny.
I'm an actress and a singer, and I'm gonna I want to become a singer, a pop singer, and a rock singer.
My name is the best. All the DJs want to feel my breast, but I love it.
That was iconic.
Oh,
but no, and I gotta say that inspired the speed dating trope in a lot of movies. It like that one scene, and I gotta be honest, it works really well in this movie. And I mean, to be fair, I'm not gonna lie, I usually really like a good speed dating scene. They're so funny. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But every single time I see one, I almost always laugh. I think they're freaking hysterical. My actual favorite scene in this movie is when the royal court comes to Mr. McDowell's house. Because one, you get to see
and Daryl as well at the same time as Daryl.
so you get to see Cleo, Cleo wants that money. Cleo wants that coin.
Yeah.
So it starts out as, Cleo's like, have a seat in the lazy boy. Let me put your feet up. Like those that interaction.
And he just leaves her there.
Yeah,
She's like struggling to get up.
But then Joffrey just goes upstairs and he's talking to Lisa. And that interaction between the two of them was like, oh shit, okay. Lisa leaves and he's trying to buy Cleo. That's when I started respecting Cleo, by the way. It's this scene right here. Because I cannot pronounce the queen's name. I'm sorry. Thank you. I don't want to butcher it. She says, apologize right now. No, this man is beneath me just like his daughter.
I'm
Damn.
sorry?
Damn.
That's crazy.
I mean, but see, and that's what I'm saying, because in the perspective of the class that they were, he's royalty. Of course he thinks they're beneath him. But in Cleo's little world, he's rich. He's we the McDowells. We own restaurants in this neighborhood. People respect us in this community. This man has a whole country who calls him king. So yeah, he thinks they're beneath me. And Cleo that was his moment of, oh, I'm a small fish in a huge pond right here. And the king the King Joffrey of Zamunda has just humbled him, but he humbled him, but also made him realize, I don't care who you are, Jack. You're not finna talk about my family like that. And my daughter is special, and she is the prize, which yes, she is. Period.
Which Akeem never thought like his dad. Another thing, because Akeem does not think that.
Yeah.
He knows she the prize. That's why he was ready to give it all up for her in a moment. He was like, I will renounce my throne right now if that's what you want. If
that's another theme of the movie that I really enjoy, is like him like struggling with his privilege and like wanting to give it up to a certain degree, like fighting against his privilege in a way. I think that's a really interesting as well. Like breaking tradition as well, like in the end when the queen is talking to the king and he's like, oh whatever, but it's tradition, and she says, well, I thought you were the king.
Look,
like stuff, just because it's tradition, like you can still, if you think something is wrong, change it.
Little stuff like the flower bearer in the car, and when she says that and she looked like, ooh, that is genius, because that's how you react. Because if I heard somebody say something like that, I'm be like, oh, got you together, gathered you.
Truly, absolutely.
And I do love that the way that it ends, like the fact that, like I mentioned before, like because the movie doesn't show that, but we just know that one of the parents called Lisa or went after her and got her to, come to the wedding. I love that it was a surprise in a way. Like they decided to surprise Akeem like during the wedding, and like I don't know, it's just like, it's sweet. It's just sometimes I just want to watch a movie that makes me feel good and makes me have a good time. And this does that for me every single time.
Also, Glinda wishes she had that wedding dress. She wishes.
The wedding. Thank you for yes. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention is one of my favorite scenes. It's so underrated for me because like it didn't need to be in the movie, but they took the time to hire a choreographer and do that whole dance scene in the beginning when Imani, I think is her name, is being introduced. And like they do that, like the music is banger, the dance is amazing, the costumes tea, like it's just so good and unnecessary and extra, and I love it.
Well, this did get an Oscar nomination for makeup and hairstyling, which it's really interesting to think about, because The makeup category of the Oscars is a fun one because you never really know
Should
what's
be
going to get into
costume,
the
right?
game.
Not
This was
makeup.
after they had split makeup and hairstyling from costuming. So
Okay.
I believe. Don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty sure it got the split. But either way, it's really interesting to see a movie get nominated in technical categories, right? Because from a film perspective, I'm not going to dog this film. It was never going to get Oscar nominations in like Best Picture or anything. This is not the kind of thing that they nominate for Best Picture. At least not now or even in the 80s. If this had came out in like the 70s, like the early 70s, before rom-coms were everywhere, maybe. But 88, it's not going to get nominated for that. But it's always nice seeing a really popular movie get technical nominations because nowadays that's even a rarity. So I just think about so many of these like really good movies that have really good like effects or really good makeup or whatever that are not even the best movies, but have something that deserves to get noticed by the Academy, and they don't get it nowadays. So nice to say they can at least say this about something of note in that area.
I know you said it was unnecessary. I just love that film, even though
unnecessary for the plot. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need to do it, but I love that they did it.
I understand that. Yeah, I love that they did it because it's like, how do you introduce your future bride to the prince of Zamunda? And she's been groomed since birth to be this woman for you, and you just have to introduce her in the grandest manner. I just loved it. And man, when that man said, "She's your queen to baby," I know that song like it was a record. Like
there's one line that he says where he says like disease free, I think, or something.
Yeah. Because he's listing out all the things she is. She's beauty and she's grace and all of that. The fire of your desire, like she's ready for anything you want her to be, and it's just like, oh my god, that song lives rent free in my head all the time, every time.
It being like out of nowhere and a cappella.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's and it's not like that's the only song from this movie that just made it in my head, because when they like random stuff, just let yourself go. Like I can
the jingle,
commercial. Come on. And like especially in the 80s when Jerry curls were huge, and like everybody had Jerry curls. My sister had
that scene where the people get up and that
is so weird. Any black household know what that looked like. Everybody in the house, because Jerry curls ran rampant, baby, and your furniture was never safe around the Jerry curl, baby. It just was not. And I knew that, and it's just that would make me go like, "Yep." When they all got up and all those,
it's the small stuff like that.
It's the small stuff. It's the preacher, Arsenio Hall preacher character, and when he was just bitten, they congratulating the bride and groom. I could go on and on about how all the little bits and how funny this movie was, just so stupidly funny, and why I just love it. It's so. And we can't gloss over Patrice, because Lisa's sister Patrice, I loved her in her crazy behavior. Like she just wanted to come up. She's like, I want to have the rich man who take care of me. I want to be like, Lisa get Daryl, and he's from this great family with all this money. How come I can't have him? And then when she does get a chance to get him, Hakeem comes along, and now he's the prince. Like then she
gets tricked.
I was dating Hakeem. I was trying to be with him, and he won't be with me. He want to be with Lisa. And then I go to Simi thinking he the prince, and he not the prince. He the assistant to the prince.
And she's the last one to find out too.
She's just like, oh.
She is so Jan coded. It is
so Jan coded.
Oh my god, yes, she is.
Lisa's Marsha. Yes, this is Jan. I'm like so Jan.
So fun. I loved that. I loved her dynamic Daryl's dynamic with them, trying to be thinking he the biggest thing since sliced bread, and realize Hakeem's a prince, my dude. Like it's just when Samuel L. Jackson's character comes to Ronald McDowell's and Hakeem and Simi are like,
oh, when
that scene, they look at each other and he unhooks the mop.
The slowly unscrewing the mop.
It's just like
hot. That was hot.
It was hot, and then he didn't, because we saw them fighting with the sticks and then even then Daryl still didn't have a clue, and he still was trying to insult, like, where'd you learn all that from when in Africa fighting
lions and shit.
Lions and shit. Like,
okay.
Oh my god, dude!
And you're not even creative insults. Oh my god!
You're not it, man. You're never it. But yeah, this movie was just so great to me.
We didn't even mention the bath scene in the beginning. The royal penis. Your Highness.
Crazy.
The way that she just emerges.
Crazy. Yeah, truly. Because like I fully did not expect to see any nudity of any way in this movie. And then immediately you just get breasts washing. And then suddenly out of nowhere, a beautiful woman emerges from the water as if nothing happened and just says, "The royal penis is clean, Your Highness." What the hell? What in
the first like 3 minutes?
Yeah. It is one of the single funniest things I have seen in a movie, maybe ever. I laughed. I had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard.
I mean, what a life! What a life!
Truly.
You just sit there and just somebody just bathed you completely. Like,
and then when he says like, "Oh, today's my birthday. Can I go to the bathroom by myself?" And then they like dismiss the wiper. I'm like,
right,
the
wiper. It's
the wiper.
What a life.
Yeah, truly.
I want to know what that feels like. I'll be honest. I just want to know because I don't know what that's like to have.
Literally, my nightmare. Like you wake up and there's like 5 people in your room just staring at you, waiting for you to wake up. My nightmare.
Actually, that would be terrifying. That would be so
terrifying. Just wait till I wake up, and then you can come in after I wake up.
I want to have a button next to my bed. Like when I press the button, you show up.
Don't do that. But yes, but I would love to figure out what it's like to have somebody waiting on me hand and foot all day, 24 hours.
Waking up with an orchestra playing you.
Right. Playing for me. And then I just have to smile, and then they brush my teeth. Like, what? I want to know what all that, because I ain't never had that. I've been broke. So I want to know what it's like to live that life.
If only every broke man updated was secretly a prince. I wish.
You want to do Freaky Friday with Akeem?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Truly.
Honestly and truly.
Well, at the risk of getting one more, I just gonna ask the room: are we feeling good? Do we feel like we have discussed what we would like to discuss? Yes. I'm not getting one more today. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Okay, great.
Actually, one more thing.
Maybe cutting my hair made my yappiness like calm down a little bit. I don't know.
I will say, well, 1, this is a shorter movie. 2, when we're talking about the grand scheme of things, some of the movies we talk about have a lot more complex issues that need more discussion. You know, This is a cute rom-com that's really damn funny, and that's what we need to talk about. And we've talked about both aspects, and I'm happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, without further ado, we shall now get into the scores. Did anyone change their score from beginning to now? I have not heard any notations of that. Great, awesome. Lana, I don't feel like I need to ask, but I will ask anyway. Is it a 5?
It is definitely a 5. That will always be a 5. I don't give out movies that I don't love. I will never make anybody watch a movie that I don't love. It's just part of my life. And I will watch it any stage it's on, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a struggle with this movie as to where to rate it, because I think the comedy in this movie is freaking hysterical, but that's not the only thing this movie is trying to do. So it is a little bit of that. And then the plot's a little basic, but the acting is really good. Like it's a weird combination of things where nothing is truly bad. It's just some things are okay and a lot of things are good. So I think, okay, it's better than an average film, which is 2.5 out of 5. I gave it 3 with the note that I might tweak it in the future and make it a 3.5 maybe. It's a cute rom-com. It's really funny. It's just not going to be anything that's going to be something I would like put on frequently, personally. I do like it though. As a friendly reminder, a 3 out of 5 is an above average film to me. I just want that documented to everyone on this podcast. A 3 out of 5 is a good movie.
Yeah. And I kind of see, I understand, because I don't know if I was watching this movie for the first time currently as I am today. I don't know if I would like it as much as I do, having it being part of my life of loving movies, basically. So I understand where you're coming from. Like, it's undeniably a good movie, but if it's between like good and amazing and masterpiece, that is debatable. That is preference and taste. So I get that. However, from what I said in the beginning, this is one of my favorite movies. I have seen this movie so many times. I grew up on this shit. It's personally, to me, 5 stars.
Aww.
That's fair. Yeah. When it comes to me, I really like this movie. I think this movie is really funny, and I definitely do want to do a rewatch of this movie, and definitely like pay a lot more attention and like really like take everything in, because I feel like I did that, but I feel like I want to do it again. At the same time, I will say, when I think of this movie, I will think more on the comedy aspect, and I think I will forget a little bit of the romance aspects, which is a little bit unfortunate, which does just bring it down just a little bit for me. And as we've stated, is this movie perfect? No. But is this movie fun and good? Absolutely. So that's why I did give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Yes.
I see you, Lana. I see you. I feel you. But I also like I said, I don't know if I would give it 5 stars if I was watching for the first time today. You know what I mean? So, but I will never know. I don't want to know.
Well, as we are wrapping up Black History Month, I want to say first off, Lana, thank you so much for being here for all of these videos.
You
Thank
ate
you
with
for
the choices.
watching all of these videos. We have appreciated you, and you're welcome back anytime. We you can be here whenever you'd like.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for watching. At least the Coming to America video. If you are interested in hearing us talk about Love and Basketball, if you want to hear us talk about Rosewood, if you want to hear us talk about The Color Purple, the rest of our Black History Month movies are also all out on the channel by the time this video is uploaded. So go ahead and go watch those videos if you'd like, and also go back and watch all of our Oscar nominated movies that we covered in January as well, as we begin to pivot into March. Now, we teased it last week that a certain one of our movies in this month would be connected to the theme that we're going with in March. And River, could you care to show off your shirt a little bit more? Just a smidge. So we're not going to be too specific yet. Tune in tomorrow for some more information, and honestly, just kind of like a big reveal. But March is March Madness month.
Yeah.
I am so excited for this one.
Oh yeah.
What does that mean? What's gonna happen? Tune in tomorrow.
Are we doing basketball movies?
Are we doing basketball movies?
Are we watching Air Bud
movies?
Are you watching Like Mike?
You know what exactly do we?
Are we watching Stuart Little?
Are we watching Space Jam 2?
Oh my god!
All I'm gonna say is this: tomorrow, March 1st, at our normal upload time of 6 p.m. Eastern, there's gonna be a special video going out on the channel. So keep your eyes open for that to see what exactly we're doing in March. And who's going to join us in March? Because we have
a
guest joining.
It's a different,
not Lana.
Very, very special.
Yeah.
A different guest joining us for March. Myself, and Eduardo, having a 4th guest. So yeah, what are we covering next week? Tune in tomorrow to find out. Again, thank you so much for being here this entire month, Lana. Thank you for picking all of these movies. And if, like we've mentioned, we have a rough schedule, but if you have a movie you would like to see us watch, or you're a movie you'd like to hear us talk about, put it into consideration for the future. Maybe we'll squeeze it in where appropriate.
Put it in the suggestion box.
Put it in the suggestion box down below, aka the comments.
The comments.
Thank you so much for joining us here today, but we have unfortunately ran out of popcorn, and we need to get a refill on our soda, and no one ever eats more than one soft pretzel. So we will see you next time, and thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Bye.
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 Hit that button.